The next set of questions are related to my professional style and pedagogical style of working with centers and group time. Now, at the beginning of a year, the question here is, how do I balance the center time and the group time? At the beginning of the year, I am going to have a larger group time because I'm establishing rules, routines. And as the year progresses, as their center choices increase, I'm going to give them more and more time. Now, I've been experimenting with having a shorter, abbreviated group time, going to centers, stopping, coming back for another group time, going back to centers, stopping, coming back for another group time. The downside of that pedagogically is that research tells us that it takes 45 minutes for a child to get into their play. It takes a long time for them to get to the point where they're really benefiting from play. We're not going to have more than 45 minutes with our kids, so that research pretty much goes out the window. However, it is safe to say that you don't really want to break up their play that much. You want to let them do their thing as much as you can allow them to do, if they're helping out. Because life is messy, because children are messy, there are no guarantees. There is no perfect arrangement for group time, center time. It could be that the kids are so wound up and so out of control that they will not sit still for group time, and that they need to start with center time and then come back to group time. Gordon, because I use a lot of his ideas, Gordon is going to suggest, or Gordon is going to say, that you should have all of your hard work at the very beginning of the class. Hard work meaning cognitive, musical, listening work should be at the head of class, because that's going to take the most focus. And I agree with that. However, if we also intersperse that heavy listening throughout the class, and have heavy listening attached to all aspects of their work, not just vocal work, Gordon is going to suggest that it's the singing voice that really trains the ear. I also think that if you're getting a child to listen to patterns from music or from other people, you're also helping train their ear to hear those things and recognize them and intentionally listen for something in the context of a huge, massive sound, so they're focused on this one thing. So to answer that particular question, I like to have all the heavy work in front, group time. Sometimes that doesn't work out. I may have to start with centers. And I know this is not cool to say. I'm going to say it anyway because it's reality. I am not beyond holding centers over someone's head. That's wrong. Every child deserves centers. Yes, in the world of perfection, that is true. And I believe that. But when push comes to shove and I just need to make it through the day, I'm going to use centers over their head. I'm going to hold that over their head. And if that's the carrot that keeps them in control, I'm going to use it. I try not to do that, but I'm letting you know, sometimes, once in a blue moon, it happens. There was another question about vicarious learning, since I pointed it out on the videos. We learn vicariously all the time. When we're driving down the road and we see the policeman having pulled someone else over, we are learning that, oop, there may be other policemen out there, we better slow down. That's vicarious learning. it is not, relegated to this classroom or to this music space. Children, if they're listening, are learning vicariously all the time. They're listening, they're learning musical things with their ears all the time. And when they play a pattern, and they may not even know they're playing the pattern of the music. Now, let me stop right there. The music that I feature in my classroom or use is music that I have composed that is based on Edwin Gordon's music learning theory. It's always dominant tonic or uses the modal equivalent thereof, and it always uses a repeated rhythmic pattern. So there's a rhythmic pattern to hang on to, there is a tonal pattern to hang on to, and I write the music in AABA form, so there is a formal structure to the piece. By playing this music, they're going to get these patterns because it's so much a part of what the music is. And when they start to recognize the patterns and play them on their instrument kind of unconsciously, that's when I stop everything. And that's what happened in that one particular video. I stopped everything and noticed that, drew the class's attention to whatever the child is playing. It's making as many connections as possible. And if you're following a highly scripted lesson, your attention is focused on that highly scripted lesson and not on the possibilities. Now, this is what works for me. I am an individual of possibilities. I want to know the possibilities, and I'm going to reach those possibilities if I know what they are. Some people really need the safety, the structure of knowing, okay, this is what we're going to do first, this is what we're going to do second, this is what we're going to do third. And I have that general outline in my head, and it's driven by some basic concepts: dominant, tonic, duple, triple, and having harmony. There's nothing you can't do off the top of your head, or I think you should be able to, with any of those 5 different things. And if I know that that's my agenda, and being able to hear music from Guatemala, that's nice too, but that's Guatemalan music. That's not necessarily getting their ears trained, so to speak, to listen for music. Okay? So if you can synthesize, if you can distill, is the word I meant, if you can distill all of the things that you really need to put in their head, and if you can push away all of the political agenda of the standards, and the political agenda is everything that doesn't have to do with sound, which is probably most of the standards, then you really have a smaller kettle of fish to fry. You have a smaller number of things that you need to worry about. And so it's easier to pull things out of the context if you're only dealing with 5 or 6 different things instead of 40. That's the way I see it, though.